Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Z. As you probably know me for many years, I've been in the time travel business as per usual. I've been in travel business for over the course of 17 years and I'm making a video today to generalize and present in a moderate version and well elaborate version instead of my daily vlog what is time travel. I'm gonna go in extensive detail. First of all, if you're new to this, you have no idea who I am. My first name is Francois, aka Dr. Z. I am well known throughout the internet regarding time travel, using the terminology of my email of deadz74. If you look up these, you will find me very easily. I've been in time travel for over 17 years. I've done my own experiment, I've done research, I've done interview, I've done presentation, I've done video presentation. I'm a researcher in time travel. I did experiments for multiple years. I have my own experience to my own account. I have a base follower of people that been following me for more than 10 plus years. I have a group of people that are constantly helping me, feeding me information, relaying me information. I fabricated multiple experiments. I've built multiple projects. I built my own project. I've made machine for multiple people that ask for it. And I'm the overall jack of all trade regarding time travel. I'm the one that experiment, did project, and built things with his own hand regarding time travel. People that I've met regarding time travel, I've met Al Bielek, I've met Preston Nichols, I've met Stephen Gibbs, I met even Bajak before. Problem finding him. All these people were related to time travel. They passed their knowledge on to me. I asked them the perfect question. I took notes. What was it? How it works? And so on and so on. In the past, I was more of a fabricator. I was just building machines regarding plans that already existed. But today I am more well knowledge. I have more experience in that field compared to many years ago. So I am more confident when I say that I'm going to build something, I know it's going to succeed. There's a few other people on the internet around the world that did other projects like this, but none that have come so verbally and explicitly like me. My past experience and experiments, I was on TV with Rob Dyrdek in 2007, where I explained to him how the HDR worked, and I showed him and I explained to him what was the principle of the HDR and everything like this. I spent the better part of an afternoon with him, and at the end he got his hand on one of my HDR that I made for him. And back in 2000 and 2003 I did the Brossard experiment, which was a recreation on a smaller scale of the Philadelphia experiment. If you're not familiar with what the Philadelphia experiment is, check it on Google. It's pretty voluminous, the amount of information that's over there. Electronic equipments, those are some projects that I made myself. This is a leftover from the Brossard experiment, that too, and this was one of the control box. These are some of the things I do. This probably doesn't look like anything to any one of you, but if you're in time travel and you know about these things, you'll know that this is the legendary HDR that everybody talks about. This is one of my power supply with a relay control that helped me make the Brossard experiment function. These are some projects that I recreated and some projects that I managed to save from the experiments. And I have a base skill in electronics, base skills and electrical assembly, and I have a wide knowledge of all the experiment that's been done before. I have a huge knowledge of everything related to the Philadelphia experiments and the Montauk experiments, because I talk directly with the people over there. They show me the experiments, they explain to me in details. I'm your base for time travel. The information, the person that knows everything, all the information that has been relayed and a lot of people would wish that they would be tested on. I'm the guy. If you want to know more about me, you can check me on my website on TimeNoMore.tripod.com. This website's been on for a long time. It has thousands of views. A lot of people use that. They communicate with me on a weekly basis. That website is your reference to time travel. If you want to know more about time travel or other things related to this, you can visit paranormalist.com, which is one of my good friends' forums. This is where I basically live. I'm there all the times. I post all the times. It's your resource for everything paranormal and time travel. And ending all these research and all these experiments, I did my own project, which was called the Brossard experiment, which was a recreation of the Philadelphia experiments, which is the only known time travel experiment in history. A lot of people will deny the fact of what it was, but it was in fact a real experiment. My skill level regarding building a time travel machine is leadership, leading a team of people that has the skill necessary to build a project. I have assembly skills, electronic skills, electricity skills, everything regarding fabrication. I have the knowledge and know-how how to make this. So for me, it wouldn't be much of a problem to rebuild experiments or create my own, which is presently what I'm doing. It's one of my projects that I'm doing on a short-term basis, but for that I'm going to need help, which later on I'm going to explain about. Okay, so I explained to you who I was and what I did. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to explain to you what is time. A lot of people say, what is time? Well, this is time. So actually, no. Time is it's a human perception. It's a human construct. The animal, they don't know what time is. Insect, they have no clue what time is. All they know is that the sun goes up and the sun goes down. Our sense of time is more based on this planet, on where we live, on gravity. We feel time through the day because our physical attributes are related to this planet and time. So you wake up in the morning from sleeping all night, you're full of energy, you work through your days, you lose your energy. This is time goes by and physical attribute to the human. But somebody that doesn't do that on a regular day, he has no clue what time is. Somebody that spent his entire day behind a computer screen watching Tumblr or Facebook, whichever website you want, he has no perception of time. His time is what goes on the screen. So, and if you take a truck driver, for him, time is everything. He's on the road, he's driving, he has kilometers per hour to take into account. He has to be at one place at one time. This is another perception of time. So for every individual, time is different. Some people says, oh, I don't have enough time during the day, or I didn't have time to do this. It's all about human perception, but it's much deeper than this. Time is part of human physiognomy. With your mind, you could control times. With your energy and your strength, you could organize time. You can all generate this. And how can we do this? So I explained how humans perceive time. So now I'm going to explain how do we usually measure times. Well, usually we measure time with a watch, a device that exists for centuries, and it's a mechanical device. We all know what a watch is from the time we go to kindergarten. They explain to us how to read a clock on the wall, how time works, and how it's going to be with us for all our lives. But a lot of people, they don't know exactly what time is still. On your watch, let's say I'm going to go in detail right now. On your watch, a lot of watches they use quartz crystal to calculate the time, the pulsations, and how it works. Well, unknowingly, each of us synchronize ourselves to our watch. So every day you put on your watch, it becomes a part of you. And this is how we become to measure times. But those watches are going to influence our life in a more deep way that you can imagine. They're going to dictate our life. Basically, I'm going to resume that very shortly. What is time? Time is it's a frequency that resonates throughout space and time. On our planet, the time is related to our gravity because the planet turns, day and night comes, and hours goes by, and so on and so on. There's time zone, and so on and so on. This is how we measure times. But how do we perceive it? How do we perceive time for real? Well, time actually is a frequency. It's a frequency that your soul is inhibited with from the day you're born. The day you're born, you're brought into this world, and I mean born within your mother's womb. Your spirit, your energy, your chakra start to beat to that frequency in which you are in. And you will perceive time via that frequency from the moment you're born on that exact date that you are conceived to the day you die. This is going to be what time is for you for the rest of your life. People with mental disabilities, they perceive time differently than us because their way of feeling times is different than us. They don't have any conception of what time is on a clock and so on and so on. They know that the sun goes up and down and so on and so on. That's where I was going with saying somebody that's in front of a computer all day, locked in his room, he has no perception of time. It doesn't know what it was 3 p.m. from 3 a.m. He wondering what people just disappear for a while and they come back. After a while, the perception of time goes different from different people's. And how is this related to time travel? Well, you have to understand that when you're time traveling, you're affecting yourself throughout times, depending what machine you're going to use. So this is how time is going to affect you in the real values. I'm going to go in detail about this in another segment, but for now, I'm explaining the frequency. The Schumann frequency resonate at 7.83 megahertz with other numbers behind it. That's how time is calculated. That's how they set up the quartz crystal in your watch. They set up its resonant frequency to that time. But throughout times that we're going right now, that frequency change. Just an example, recently my watch went back to 0. For no apparent reason, my battery's still good, but my watch went to absolutely 0. It went to 12 p.m. in the blink of an eye. And I had a text from one of my friends that perceived the exact same thing, and he told me like my watch went back to 0, but everybody else's watch were correct. So it's probably because me and him, we did time travel experiment, that our watch were affected by what happened. So this is what time is. Time is a human perception, a unit of measure that we're using to calculate our days, and it's a frequency that our soul and energy and chakra feels throughout our lives. That's what time is. You may ask, well, it's all nice and fun, all these things you've just been explaining for 5-10 minutes, but how can we achieve time travel? Well, in order to achieve time travel, it requires a lot of different things. First, like I say, was a frequency, but you're asking me what kind of frequency? Well, it's an audio frequency. Somewhat of an audio frequency and magnetic resonance. You have to combine these two things to create a gravity field to disrupt the photons. Probably not the photons, but to disrupt the field of time, the current times, and be able to achieve time travel. That's simply put in 3-5 words, but more complicated. In order to achieve proper time travel, there's different ways. You have what we call time slip, where time slipping requires for you to become a 0 point in the time field. That means that you become non-existent in this timeline, and depending on how much your energy is running, you're going to go back in time, or you're going to go forward in time. It's going to be like the movie, The Time Travel Machine, the Time Machine, where you're going to see the time flows going by forward or backward as you're traveling. So that's one stage. The other one would be a time portal, where you create a distortion in times, where you can, it's like a view screen, and when you open that field, you'll be able to see through times where you go and go through that field. You're going to just cross that field and you'll be traveling to another time zone. The other one would be a vehicular one, like the Philadelphia experiment. Their first project was to have a ship that could be invisible to radar, but they inadvertently, knowingly, secretly created a time travel ship. That means that this ship had its own gravity well inside. It has its own energy generators, its own magnetic field, the frequency controller on every side of the ship. So they created Back to the Future, except on the scale of a ship. So this is how they achieve time travel. But for me and you, creating a time travel machine, how can we achieve time travel? my safest bet is to build a time portal, meaning that you have a view of where you're going. It's isolated until you cross the field. And in order to achieve time travel through a time portal, uh, you need the resource to make it. I have the resource, I have the knowledge, I just don't have the money for now. But it's a vague question. Technically speaking, it's a very vague question. How can we achieve time travel? There's so many ways. It's the same principle as if you say, I want to travel to Japan. How can I travel to Japan? Well, there's a lot of factor for you to be able to travel to Japan. You want to go by boat, you want to go by car, you want to go by plane, and you want to go by sea, you want to go by air. Do you have the money to travel? How long? When? It's all the same thing with time travel. How can we achieve time travel? The experiments are already made. The plans are already made. They already exist. These projects already exist. How can we achieve time travel? First, we need the fundings to make the project. We need the space. We need the garage. We need a lot of things. This is how we can achieve time travel. I already explained on my daily vlog. It's gonna take too much time in this video to explain how can we achieve time travel. So you're probably asking your point right now, what time travel could be used for? Well, the first obvious one is to get rich. Obviously, if you're going to go through all these trouble, you're gonna want to be rich, you know. So yeah, obviously you could probably get the lottery result or go back in the past and win the lottery as much as you want. That's an eventuality. But mostly, what I think that's one stage that's very important is time travel could be used for medical purpose. My personal health is mediocre, I would say, but other people that I care about and other people that are involved, they are also seeking that they would like to use time travel to access future medical technology that I told in multiple previous videos that they're suppressing. Cancer, blood regenerations, all sorts of medical wonder that just awaits us that they don't want to release right now. Because if they would do that, people would live longer, and that's the last thing they want. What else could time travel be used for? Knowledge. You could have all the knowledge in the world. That I think once you start learning, knowing how to get the information and learning, I don't think you would care much about the situation of today, the money, the superficial needs, all these things would become completely irrelevant. You would have access to everything you want to know. You want to know if Jesus existed, you could know. You want to know what the secret of the pyramids are, you would know. You wanted to know if aliens exist, you would know. There would be no limits. Because right now, we exist in a plane of time where things are kept from us. Knowledge is not accessible to everyone. And also, I think that one of the most important use for time travel would be an exit. Meaning that if something global happened here where everyone's involved and you feel that it's important that you continue your research and expanding your mind, you could escape to another timeline or literally another time zone, another dimension. So these could be used for time travels. You cannot use time travel for saving someone. The danger involving time travel, a lot of people would say, well, I want to have access to time travel to save my daughter that died 2 months ago. I want to have access to time travel to save my uncle who died from cancer 15 years ago. It's all related to our needs to help each others, but it's a danger. You cannot alter this. Meaning that from the day you're born, I was saying that you become part of this temporal line, this temporal signature that I always mention in my forums. And it's a very sensible topic, meaning that you could not save anyone that died. They were meant to die. That's how it is, unfortunately. Because if you go take that person and you save him from that day, or you save him from cancer on that day, and you come back to this timeline, well, the paradox is going to say that he's not supposed to be there, and they're going to fix his problems. The paradox, the timeline, the temporal signature, whatever you want to call it, the time will correct this. And it's the same principle that we elaborate, that if you travel further back from the day you're born, the temporal line will want to correct that situation. Those are the danger you involve. Also, if you travel to the future, there was a lot of movie made with this. Back to the Future, Stella, the temporal traveler. They travel to the future, they encounter someone from the future. That person from the future learn that they're a time traveler. They steal the machine and they come back in time to screw up the timeline and create a nightmare timeline. So those are the danger of time travel. And you probably have no idea how potentially dangerous those danger are. Even for me, if I was to travel 100 years in the future each times that I would make a jump to see how we evolve every 100 years, well, I would have to make sure to stay incognito. And that's why the time portal is a good option, because it's a view into the future or the past. So those are the turn off of the time travel. Is it worth it or is it not? So that's pretty much wrapped up for the part of where I explain what time is, the danger, the use, the benefit. For sure we can use time travel for greed, but I don't know how karma would correct that. Karma being the timeline. So those are pretty much the turn down of time travel. If you watch my YouTube video channel, thinkharder.youtube.c, you'll see how I explain in details what are the turn down of time travel. So that's pretty much it for now. Hi everybody, today I'm going to talk to you about the Brossard experiment. How it happened, why it happened, what was the result, and who sponsored me to make that, and how many years it took me to do. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Late 2001, early 2002, I had one of my friends, what I was high ranked somewhere, that offered me a salary and a commission to do the project. And he explained to me that he wanted me to recreate the Philadelphia experiment. Back in those times, I wasn't the skillful person I am today, but I was skilled in doing research, detective works, and acquiring information. Those what I was good at. So I spent the better part of 2002 and early 2003 to do the research and the information I needed. I went to visit all the people that were related to time travel. I traveled across the United States to gather all the parts that I needed, because some parts were very, very rare. And back home here in Brossard, I had two people that could help me build the project that I needed. People that were fully competent electrician and electronician. So after 2002, I gathered all the information, and I wanted to do the project on my car, because that was the only thing available I could make of that was big enough. So I basically scaled down the Philadelphia experiment, and I was using a little bit of radionic, a little bit of magnetic field energy, and field generators, and all these parts that I gather, the information I gather from the Philadelphia experiment. And I built the experiment based on my Ford Tempo, 1991 Ford Tempo. And it had magnetic bars all around the car that was weighing hundreds and hundreds of pounds on the car. It was full of battery. There was a generator inside, rotating generators. I had a power converter. There was a lot of parts. Back then in the day, I conceived generally a basic idea of what I wanted to do, and the people helped me build these parts that I needed and put them together. So I ended up with a car that was 1,000 pound overweight of what the car was. And why am I here at my old workplace? It's because this is where I put the car the first night that I was ready to go. So I parked the car right here in 2003 in March, and the car was right here back in those days. It stayed there overnight. The next morning I came, I sit down in the car, I prepped the car, started up, the generator, the battery, the alternator was functioning perfectly, the voltage was all right, and my friend had a Kodak with regular films, because back in the day we didn't have the money to buy expensive camera, or we didn't use the camera on our phones because we didn't have phone back in the days. So I came here early in the morning, get in my car, we start up the car, I test everything, so we start driving, and my feeling on that day was very positive, knowing that I was going to have to find a quiet place on the highway to test out my system. So previously we already tested the ground where we were going to test, because I wanted to use a ley line to test the car, because a ley line is a gravity, it's a magnetic field that crosses the planet, and if you time travel on a ley line, you're going to remain where you are in time, in space and time. It's like a time lock. It's a grid, like the grid points. We call them grid points or ley line. And it's a time lock where you want to time travel. You're going to use these ley line to stay where you are, not end up in space. So this is what I wanted to achieve. So basically there was 2 ley lines following the Highway 10, which is just 5 minutes from here. So start up the car, I'm ready to go, sit in the car, put everything on my head, put everything dials in my everywhere. The car was basically a mess of technology. So as I'm ready to go, I start turning everything on, the generators, the battery, everything's running fine, everything's rolling. So I'm confident that the project's going to run because everything is running fine, nothing's burning. So I'm on my way, and I'm on my way to the highway. So I'm going to explain more once we're on the highway. Cool. So like I was saying, I start up the car, and my friend was following me as a witness in the back with a Kodak film camera, and he was taking pictures as we were driving. And just remember, this is back in the early 2000. I have a cheap, used, worn out Ford Tempos, a 4-cylinder engine. The car is 1,000-pound overweight with everything that's inside. Me, all the electromagnetic bar. So we're leaving this place, this current space here right now. This is the Industrial Boulevard of Brossard. So we're leaving, and the car is struggling to gain some speed because it's overweight. And I'm trying to focus on the road as I'm driving and operating the system. The car is filled up with controls and dials and power supplies and other machines that are inside. So I have to focus on this as well. So I'm pretty much occupied. My mind is very, very occupied with seeing that everything is starting up properly and everything is driving fine, you know. So the back of the car is almost scrubbing on the ground, just to give you an example how overweight it is. So I'm not going as fast as we're going about 50 kilometers per hour is maximum, and we're trying to go up on the highway. So it's early 5 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday, so there's nobody on the road. It's totally quiet here in Brossard, and I'm over here driving with my friend. So I'm going to explain you the struggle of principally the car, which is some of the whole project, but it's what's inside that's the most important. So back in the early 2000s here in Brossard, it was just a single way going to the highway, and the road was very rough. So I'm trying to keep up and hoping that the car won't break down half the way. So we're driving. My friend is calling me on my phone, and he say, "Did I start up the system yet? Did I start up?" And I said, like, "No, we're not close to the ley line yet. We're just still in Brossard." So he was teasing me that, well, if we're leaving Brossard, it won't be the Brossard experiment anymore. So I tell him to fuck off, you know, just shut the fuck off. You don't know shit. So we're almost down to the highway, about 5 minutes away. And right now, as I recall properly, back in the days, 14 years ago, the car was smelling like the engine was overheating from carrying on its own 1,000 pounds. Because when you're carrying something in the back of a car on a trailer, it's just pulling it. It's not carrying the weight on all its 4 wheel. But when you're carrying an extra weight on the car, seriously, 1,000 pounds is a lot on a 4-cylinder tempo, and the car is really struggling. So the engine was revving at maximum all the way. So as I'm gaining speed, we're almost exiting Brossard. You can film in the front. Around here, this exit was two-way back in the days here. So it's still two ways back in the days. So I'm coming around here at full speed, 50 kilometers per hour, and the car, I'm wondering if the car is going to make it to the highway literally. So I'm really pushing the car. My friend is following me. So this is we're 1/4 of the way. So we're getting up to the off ramp right now. This is just for you guys to visualize. Look, it's $2 crossing the street. Yes, those are our $2. And don't stress yourself, I'm not filming anything. Stupid bird. Alright, so back to the storyline. I'm on the off ramp. I have to climb this incline here, and the car is at 3,500 RPM, and it's struggling just to make it. And I'm going much slower than this. This is just for the sake of the film. I'm going maximum, but the car makes it. I climb the off ramp, and I'm almost there, and I'm home free. I'm on the highway. So I'm in my car, pushing its limit. A car that has almost 200,000 kilometers on it, and how I'm going to explain that to my wife. So I get on the off ramp, the car is gaining some speed. I'm in my Ford tempo. I'm at 80 kilometers per hour, going down the off ramp. I'm almost on the highway. So my friend's following me, and he's laughing his heart out on the phone, on our cheap ass cell phone back in the day when they had no camera. And he's laughing at me and says like, "Your car's still driving, man?" And once again I tell him to fuck you. Sorry about that, but I was really mad. I was trying to focus on what I had to do, because operating all of this is really complicated. And plus I have to get myself into a state of mind that I'm going to use the HDR, which is the radiating component of my machine. It's not necessarily the HDR, but it was a radiating based device nonetheless. Because on the Philadelphia experiment, they turned on the machine, but they didn't have anybody at the helm. They didn't have anybody with a soul and mind at the helm of the ship to lock it on a time zone. That's why the ship jumped from one place to the others. So me, on my experiment, that was not going to happen. I was going to be at the helm of my car, and I was going to control this. So I'm here, about to exit on Highway 10, and I'm already reached 85 kilometers per hour with my overweight car. And my friend is laughing his heart out because he's just there as a witness to bring me back if the car broke down, and he was going to laugh all the way back home. So I'm on the flat, I'm gaining speed, I'm almost at 90 kilometers per hour, and my foot is on the floor. Literally, my poor little car is struggling just to gain some speed, and I'm flooring it as much as I can, hoping it's going to make it. So you can hear the revolution of my car right now. Well, just imagine that by 10 times on a 4-cylinder tempo, how loud it was. It's 5:15 a.m. on Highway 10, March, on a Sunday in the morning. No one's on the highway, fortunately, that day. I have absolutely no witness. Nobody's watching me. It's just me and my friend in the back, and we're trying to make the car go faster. So at one point I told him, go in front of me and block the wind. I'm going to gain some speed by overdrafting behind you. So I'm following him from about a feet away, and it's slightly working. We're reaching 100 kilometers per hour. So at the 100 kilometers per hour, I can set my car on the cruise control, and it's really struggling to keep up. So it's another 15-20 minutes before we reach the activation points. So we reached Marieville here, which is about 15 kilometers away from Brossard. I've been driving for about 15 minutes in my car, and the engine is close, borderline to overheating, and I'm reaching the ley line where I want to activate my system. So right now I have my headband, my radionic device headband on my head. I have my prefabricated tablets with my control on my chest. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road and operate both systems at the same time. My power controller that controls the impulse, the electric pulse signals on the magnet bar outside the car. I'm controlling that with one hand. I'm watching the road. I'm trying to dial my HDR, semi-HDR radionic machine, and I have my frequency controller. So right now I'm activating everything, all the power supplies, and I'm starting to turn the dials to what I want to do. So, we're reaching the point here in Saint-Angèle right now. Here the ley line is at its highest peak. I don't know how to describe the power level of a ley line, but around here we're following the electric line from Hydro-Quebec, and here it's the strongest point. So as I'm driving here, close to here, the system's activated, and then what I notice is I'm starting to see a green haze forming around the car, like something is overheating, but it's not the engine. The electromagnetic electric pulse on the electromagnetic bar outside the car are pulsating like crazy, like literally. So every second there's about, on the relay that opens and closes, the pulsation is about 100 megahertz. Not 100 megahertz, but a guesstimate of 100 hertz, something like that. And it's going really fast as it can, and it's heating and it's really hard. And I'm starting to feel some effect, and suddenly I'm following my friend, and there's other car around like now, and there's a flash, and all I see is dirt around me, and I don't see any leaves on the tree, I don't see any grass on the ground, and I see the cars, but I cannot make out the tires. Everything that seems to have an organic feels on it has disappeared. So what I think I'm witnessing is a 0 point in time, meaning I'm witnessing what is aging on a molecular level, not on a moment level. The leaves that lives for a short times, the grass that lives for a short times, the tires that lives for a short times because they decay, all of this I couldn't see. So after this I have another flash that I see on the road, and then I start seeing future times. It's like I'm having an HDR experiment. When you're having the HDR, you're seeing flash of moment of what you want to see, but you're not there physically. You're there seeing yourself and your future self, and that's in the past because I already explained that in one of my YouTube videos. The YouTube video is called Time Travel Explained, so you can recap those videos and you'll see exactly what I'm meaning. What I'm doing right now is I'm explaining what happened to the Brossard experiment, not in the Brossard experiment. So it's about, right now we're about 2 kilometers away from when I started activating the system, and right now I'm not looking at the road, I'm not experiencing the road, I'm experiencing my future self, but by instinct I'm following the road. I don't know by what means, but it's a straight line here, so you can feel the road. It's a straight line here for 3 kilometers until the car start experiencing some problems. So those flash of the futures that I see and all these things that I witness are happening within moments and moments and moments. And then I'm starting to power down the system because I'm panicking of what's happening and I'm under a lot of stress. So I'm powering down the system, I'm turning this down, turning that down, frequency generator off, HDR off, pulsation off, and the power inverter in the back with the generators, all things are starting to turn off. At this point on, the car's starting to smoke because there's a short between the firewall and one of the power cable that goes from the engine bay to the back of the car. So my friend is in front of me, and he didn't witness what I was doing. So as I'm smoking, he changed direction and he goes behind me and started taking pictures. And there must have been still a huge magnetic field around the car, because his truck, when he was passing me, he was experiencing some technical problem in his car. And we're getting close to the end point, at one point where the car started to smoke seriously. And I'm about a kilometer away. The car is starting to fill up with smoke, and the engine bay is overheating. The car, the signal is on, full on, and seriously the car is smoking like crazy. And I'm trying to control the system to turn it off, but the magnet don't want to turn off. The power from the 5 batteries in the back is still full on the time relay, the relay that's giving the pulsation to the magnetic bar, and I'm trying to turn that off. So basically right now all that the car became is a huge magnet bar, and it was pulsating non-stop, and I couldn't stop it. And I'm trying to find an exit, and we just passed an exit, but it wasn't there back then. So it's a few more kilometers away. So I'm trying my best. My friend is trying to cover my back so that the car passing me are not knowing, they cannot see what's going on. So right now I'm in full panic mode. I don't know how to stop it. I didn't brought a fire extinguisher with me. That wasn't planned. And when I say the car is starting to smoke, is that the cabin is filled with smoke. My windows are down, but it's still pouring and the car is still driving. So I'm still struggling to turn everything off so that the battery wouldn't explode or the car would not explode. So for the next kilometers, so for the next 2 kilometers, I'm still like struggling with the car, and there's no exit inside, so I cannot stop. So I'm still pushing the car. It's about 5 minutes from where we are. I'm driving in full panic mode. Right now the cabin is filled with black smoke. The dash is starting to burn. I'm starting to see flames coming out from in front of the dash. The windshield is starting to melt, and the car didn't stop. At this point on, technically speaking, the electronic in the car should have stopped, but I don't know for what reason, but the car was at 3,500 RPM at full power, and the magnetic field wasn't just stopping. Until I reach the truck yard that's over there. Well, back in the day it was out there, now it changed because it's 14 years later. You see where that blue garage is? I was behind there. This is where I'll pull off. So I'm coming here. It's 6 a.m. Nobody's on the road. That wasn't there. This garage wasn't there. That restaurant wasn't there, and that restaurant wasn't there. There was no. It was just one truck stop that was right in front of us, and behind over there was the truck rest area, but there was nobody. But luckily for me, the army and the guy that was funding my project from the army was shortly behind us. And right now, as I'm coming to the exit, I just drive through because there was no light. It was just a stop sign. And now, so my car is smoking. There's fire under the hood. I'm driving, I'm pulling, and the truck stop. Half of the car is in flame. I'm inside coughing like crazy. My friend is panicking, telling me to stop, and I'm pulling here where there was nothing here. It was just a big truck stop with nothing. I pull behind over there, and the car is flaming. So I pull out, and the car just, the interior is in flame. The experience is over. I took off with 3 parts that was with me, that was on the table, and that was it. I almost killed myself. I almost burned to death, killed myself in that stupid experiment. and I was so pissed. And then as the car's bursting into flame, the people from the truck stop called the police, and 2 minutes later, one SUV and one army truck came pulling over. They came in, they had a fire extinguisher, they killed the fire mostly with all that they could. And when the police came, one of the army officer talked to the police, um, and it was my army friend that sponsored me the project, and he was telling me that the project was over. He say he wanted the plans, he was gonna take the car away, and I say like, I don't have a car anymore, man. I need a car to go home. What my wife's gonna say? No, I have to go to work. So he say, we're gonna drive you back home, you and your friend. You didn't do anything. You don't talk to anyone about this. Never mention it again. Blah blah blah. But he didn't care because a year later, a week later, he stole my computer from home because he thought that plans was there. They ransacked my apartment looking for all the files. Back then, I was not an engineer, so everything was drawn the way the best I could. And they took all of this. A year later, I'm unemployed again. He calls me and he say, some army buddy of his, they want to meet me. They want to have information in regard of how I made this experiment, what happened, and they wanted to interrogate me more in details. So I gave them the explanation, and they say, could you recreate it? Can you remake it? And they brought me to a garage, a secret location, and they brought me to a garage. My car was there. There was my car and an exact copy of the car, and they back engineer everything that I made from what was burned, because not much of what was inside burned literally because it was all made of steel. They melted, but it didn't burn. Just the roof line of the car and the front seat burned, but everything else that was in the back, the most crucial parts, that didn't burn. So they recreated this, and the magnet bar was easy to make and everything. So they wanted to know what did I do that make it work, but I never told them that it was the human. It was me that made it work because there was a human at the helm compared to the Philadelphia experiment, and the car never went stealth. It never just disappeared. My friends say the car was there all alone. All along the experiment, I was there. The car was following him, and I was there, and he saw me all the time. He saw the green haze for a short while, but then it disappeared. But then he say like he didn't see anything else. So that's what he says, because I never knew the truth either. So it's basically that's what happened on the Brossard experiment. That's what happened to the Brossard experiment. I already explained in another video what I saw and what I lived. So that's pretty much it. Right now it's late here, so I'm gonna head back. I hope this was entertaining and it was educating. The whole reason why I made this video today is to propose and ask for money. To propose my project is I feel that I'm ready now to make the second version of the Brossard experiment, except it will be the Brossard project. This time around I'm going to build a time portal, and I have the know-how and people gave me the information that I need based on Tesla time portal. Yes, Tesla had a time travel machine. The genius that he was, he never mentioned about it. People say he died in 1943, 1946. He didn't die at that time. Trust me, he didn't die. He had access to his time portal. He knew about the future. He had access to medical technology, the same as I want to do. And the guy lived a very long life and in our timeline. Tesla didn't die the way people imagine. He died much further in the future, of very old age. And he contributed to future technology as well. So basically my goal is, if you want to fund me on GoFundMe, I'm going to gather up the crew that I have now, the people I have at my disposal, and I'm going to recreate, in the best way I can, Tesla time portal. And I'm going to lend you access to time travel. Whoever funds me, they're going to have to answer to certain specific question if they want to be able to time travel. But you can feel free to fund me. I'm basically going to reward everyone. That's my goal right now. So it's not much of a big ask. It's something huge, but the amount that I need, it's not crucially big. It's just I need a considerable amount of money to pay for these people's salary over the course of a year and a half, because it's not going to be done from one day to the next. I have to build a shop. I need to gather all the parts that I need. I have to wait for the people to come here, get their visa ready to come here. I have to secure them in housing and secure them a salary for a year and a half, and then we're going to succeed to that project. The chance of success is a good 85% because I already achieved something by the past, and this is the second time I'm going to do something, and I believe that I'm going to achieve it with all the knowledge that I have now today. So if you are confident enough in me, knowing all that I know and showing you that I know these things, uh, please fund me. It's what's to come. It's going to be very big. What's coming globally, and if we can achieve time travel, it's going to be a good exit for our survival, and it's going to be an adventure. So the link to my time travel GoFundMe page is below. Please fund me if you have a chance. If not, talk about it to other people who has money, and they would be daring to spend that value, that amount of money. So that's pretty much it. Wish me luck. I need to achieve that. Thank you very much.